Hey guys, in this video we're going to take a look at two problems and decide which method to use to solve each one. In the previous video we took a look at the 4 different types of methods that we have used thus far this semester. So we're going to apply that knowledge to these two problems. So first step, no matter what problem you're given, is to look for a GCF. So for this first problem on page 21, the smallest number is 5. The only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. And 5 doesn't go into 6, so that means there's no GCF. So the next step, since I have 3 terms, is to look at my A. A is not 1, so I'm going to use the snowflake method. So the reason why I'm using the snowflake method is because A does not equal 1. All right, so let's make my snowflake. Oops. That was a really bad snowflake. Okay. The top is always A times C. 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. B goes on the bottom, and A goes in the upper corners. Now let's find the factors of 36. So we have 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and then we have 6 and 6. I should have left more space. I'll write it up here. Okay, the top number is negative. That tells me each pair is going to have 2 different signs. So I need to add to a positive, which means I'm going to make all the smaller numbers negative because that's the only way to get a positive. And then I want to take a look and figure out which pair will add to 5, and it should be negative 4 and positive 9. So I'm going to put a negative 4 here and a positive 9 here. Then the last thing I need to do before writing my answer is seeing if the sides simplify. So 6 over negative 4 is negative 3 over 2, so I'm going to put the 3 and a negative 2. And then I have 6 over 9, which is 2 over 3. So my final answer is 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 3. So again, this method's not new. Now we're just taking all the methods we've done thus far and combining them together and trying to decide when to use each one. All right, problem number 2. First, I want to check for a GCF. The smallest number I see is a 1 because there'd be a 1 right here in front of the x, which means that there is no GCF. If 1 is your smallest number, you're never going to have one. So now if I look, I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, which means I want to use the grouping method. Anytime you have 4 terms, it's automatically grouping. So I'm going to use grouping because there are 4 terms. All right, so when you're grouping, you put the first 2 together and the second 2 together, and then take a look at my numbers. 1 is the smallest number, and again, that just means that my GCF is 1, and they share the letter x. The smallest exponent is 1. So I'm going to put a 1x out in front. 4 divided by 1 is 4. X to the third over x to the first is going to give me x to the second, because 3 minus 1 is 2. Then I have negative 1 divided by 1, which is negative 1. The x's cancel. Then I have 12x squared and negative 3. 3 is the number that I'm looking for the factors of. The factors of 3 are 1 and 3. 3 does go into 12, which means I can take it out. I'm going to take out a positive 3 because the first term is positive. They do not both have variables, so I can't take out a variable. So put a plus 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. The x squared stays the same. Negative 3 over 3 is negative 1. Now if you look, my parentheses are the same, which means I've done it correctly so far. So I'm going to write my answer. The parentheses that match are 1, so 4x squared minus 1, and the other parenthesis comes from the GCFs, so 1x plus 3. And that would be the answer to the problem. All right, so let's turn to page 22. It's more of the same. So if I look at problem number 3, I have to look for a GCF first. So I have the numbers 9 and 64. The factors of 9 are 1 and 9, 3 and 3. Let's see if 9 goes into 64. It does not. Let's see if 3 goes into 64. It also does not. That leaves us just with a 1, which means there's no GCF. So now I look and I see that I only have 2 numbers. That means this is going to be difference of 2 perfect squares. There's a subtraction in the middle, which also helps me to decide that. So I'm going to have 2 sets of parentheses. one with a plus, one with a minus. So I'm going to put D2PS, difference of two perfect squares. Because there are two perfect squares, separated by subtraction. Okay, so then what you want to do is take the square root of 9, which is 3, so 3x in the front of each parenthesis, and the square root of 64 is 8. So my answer is 3x plus 8 times 3x minus 8. Problem number 4. First, check for a GCF. However, there's no number in front of x squared. That means it's a 1, which means there's no GCF. It also tells me that I am going to use the big X method. I'm choosing this method because A is 1, or A equals 1. So that's the method where you make an X. The top number is 16. And if you think of the snowflake, it's still 1 times 16, which is just 16. And then B goes in the bottom, that's negative 10. I need to find the factors of 16. So I have 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. All right, top number is positive. That means all my signs are the same. The bottom is negative, so I need to make all of these negative. And then the pair that adds to negative 10 is negative 2 and negative 8. That means x minus 2 times x minus 8 is my answer. There's no extra work required like in the snowflake because there's no extra line in here. It's just minus 2 minus 8. All right, and the last one we have here, we have 3a cubed b squared minus 9a squared b to the fourth plus 6a to the fifth b. So the first thing I'm going to do is see if there's a GCF. All right, so 3 is the smallest number. Factors of 3 are 1 and 3. 3 does go into 9, and 3 also goes into 6. So I know that I'm going to take out a 3. Then let's see, they all have a's, so I'm going to take out an a, and the smallest exponent is 2, so it's going to be a squared. They also all have b's, so I'm going to take out a b as well, and the smallest exponent on b is 1, so it's just b to the first. Okay, so let's take out that GCF. So 3a squared b goes out in front. 3 divided by 3 is 1. A to the third over a to the second is a to the first. B squared over b is b. Negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. The a squareds cancel. B to the fourth over b is b to the third. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. A to the fifth over a to the second is a to the third. The b squareds cancel. All right, so now when I'm looking at what's left in the parentheses, I notice that there are multiple different letters. That's going to tell me that this doesn't simplify anymore. So this is actually the GCF only method. GCF only. This is the very first method that we talked about when we started learning about factoring. What this means is I can only take out a GCF. I can't factor this anymore. So I'm choosing this. The easiest way to tell is because there are multiple variables. Because there are multiple variables. Now this could change in the future, but for the purpose of our class, anytime you see more than one variable, like different variables, all you're going to be able to do is take out the GCF. And that's it. Those are all the different types that we have used thus far. So your goal this week is to make sure that you know each one of them and learn when to use each one of them.